Hey everybody, I'm John Granato, and that's Josh Jordan. You can hear us on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. You can see Josh's work at sportsmaphouston.com as well. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet so you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Hey, Colin Cowherd made some waves yesterday, Josh, talking about his conversation. He had a conversation with Sean Payton at dinner.
The gap, listening to stories last night, between the haves and the have-nots in this league is not just quarterbacks or coaches. It is ownership. Even on Zoom calls, you can spot the dysfunction.
The Texans just met with Sean Payton over Zoom. Now, it has to be the Texans. Am I right or am I right?
It has to be the Texans. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Tell me you're talking about the Texans without telling me you're talking about the Texans. Uh-huh. That's what it was, man. And it makes a lot of sense because Sean Payton was on with him earlier this week. Yep. And one of the things that he mentioned was that not only part of the process would be him answering questions, but for some of these dysfunctional or maybe not broken, but just organizations that are struggling because they're looking for new coaches, that he would have tough questions for them. The thought of him asking Cal tough questions over Zoom. I mean, think about the Lovey press conference when they announced that he was leaving. Cal gave like a brief statement, and then Nick Caserio went up there and had to take all the bullets and answer all the questions. They don't want Cal answering questions. So the thought of Sean Payton peppering him with tough questions, that couldn't have gone well.
It was, if quite frankly, it wasn't a Sean Payton interview. It was a Cal McNair interview, right? I mean, he wants to find out whether or not. Now, I'm of the opinion that I wouldn't mind Cal as the owner because Cal knows what he doesn't know. Cal lets football people do football people things. Now, Cal is awful at hiring people, listening to people, hiring Jack Easterby, firing Brian Gaine, and letting Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby destroy the entire organization. But if you get good people in there, as opposed to some of these owners like Daniel Snyder or Jim Irsay or Jerry Jones that think they know everything, and instead of letting the football people do their things.
No, that's true. I think the concern with Cal is he going to get fooled again by another Jack Easterby type person. You know, if I was Sean Payton, that's what I would be worried about. Is this something that could happen again where Cal falls for it and he gets conned by somebody? The other thing that concerns me is how serious are they? You know, the Broncos, their top brass went out to California and met with Sean Payton in person. Payton's flying to New York in the next couple days to meet with the Panthers owner. Why are the Texans doing this over Zoom? If they're that intrigued by him, you would think they'd be pushing a little harder to go meet him in person.
Well, if he is talking about the Texans, which we all believe, because he did talk about, Cowherd also said, you know, if it's someone who inherited a team from their father dying.
There's a lot of bad owners out there that sometimes they inherited money from a family. A lot of times they don't even like the sport. Somebody dies in the family, they're left with it.
Oh, my goodness. Could there be any more Texans? So they're out of the running, right? Right now, the odds that Sean Payton is the Texans' next head coach, I would say, is under 10%.
It's interesting. I think part of it is not so scary to Sean Payton, and that part is the draft capital. He mentioned that on Cowherd, too, how important that is. And Cowherd brought up, it's about a numbers game. You know, say that he goes to the Carolina Panthers. He might be able to turn that team to a 7-8 win team and maybe even win that division, especially if Tom Brady's gone. But then how do you get that quarterback? With the Texans, you got the number 2 overall pick. You might be able to get that quarterback right away. You have extra draft capital. You have cap space. That might be something where he can't get that elusive quarterback somewhere else. So maybe it intrigues him. And also he brought up, look, you're not looking for a new coach. If, you know, he said maybe you're not broken, but things aren't going well or you wouldn't be needing a good coach. So I think Sean Payton understands that part.
Well, here's the deal, is what is greater, draft capital and winnable division or owner? And it seems that owner is a lot more important than those things, which is why Sean Payton will not be the Houston Texans head coach.
You bring up a good point, John, because he said, Colin Cowherd said this maybe 5 times. When young broadcasters ask me what to look for, I tell them chase good management, not money. Because if you're really good at what you do, the money will be there, but good management is harder to find. I just can't see how he wasn't talking about the Texans right there.